And we are live recording. Hello, hello. I'm back with it. So, what do we got going on here tonight is medical, legal, and ethical issues with Chapter 3 of the AAOS book. So, I want to start by letting you know if it's not moral, legal, or ethical, you don't do it. But what if a supervisor tells me to? Don't do it. I can tell you now, there's a lot of these little mom and pop EMS services that'll pop up overnight, and they try and justify their billing process by being unethical. So what they'll do is they will have a patient that is a dialysis patient that can walk, and they'll try and get their staff to write that they cannot, so they can bill for a BLS ambulance in lieu of a stretcher van call. That's a difference of about $350 to $400, depending on the service, right? So with that unethical bullcrap going on, you think Medicare and Medicaid have a really high tolerance for that? The answer is no. They have a low tolerance, and they will be quite ticked off. They will level a fine towards the service, and that will incur what? Yes, most of these services cannot take a hit like that, because we're talking about a couple $1 million. So mom and pop services that are unethical will go down quickly. So we're going to cover a couple issues tonight just to make sure you're on the same page. Tell you what, man, if it was me, I'd be making flashcards as we went through this. I'd also probably be having that study guide out beside me and filling in the blanks as I went through it. Completely your choice. So some stuff we'll talk about: consent and refusal of care, confidentiality, advance directives, tort and criminal actions, evidence preservation, statutory responsibilities. So statutory responsibility. All right. So medical legal ethics, we're going to talk about mandatory reporting, ethical principle, moral obligations, end of life issues. End of life issues. So the first rule of medicine is to do no harm. You as the patient advocate should advocate for your patients. Avoid legal exposure if you act in good faith and according to an appropriate standard of care. What does that mean, though? Good faith is what? Zarina, tell me what you got going on. Good faith, what does that mean? Look what the Lord has done. What does good faith mean? Let me Google it while I'm asking you. I ain't gonna lie, I've done that before. Online class, professor asked me something on my phone now. What? I wasn't listening, sorry. Oh yeah, that means blah, 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 blah. Dang, I sound smart. Sassy. Tell me about it. What does it mean to be acting in good faith, my friend?
Josh, I got my phone to work now.
Oh, good. Thought you was playing.
Acting in the best interest of no, I was trying to cook. I'm sorry.
What are you cooking?
It's acting in the best interest of our, well, there's like 10 kids here, so just hot dogs.
Okay, hot dogs, good.
They get what they get at this point.
Damn right. I ate hot dogs for lunch too. Rent due soon. I ate hot dogs. 10 years, I've been looking like getting ramen noodles too.
Acting in good faith, acting in the best interest of our patient.
Okay, so acting in good faith means you're working towards the best interest of your patient. I like that. According to an appropriate standard of care. John O, what is the standard of care?
It's what the patient needs based on, their actual physical state, as well as your standards and protocols, I'm assuming.
Hey, You're right on target, as usual. As a paramedic, can I perform thoracic heart surgery on a patient? Nah, that's not within my scope of practice, and therefore it's not a standard of care that I can follow, even at a national level. We're regulated by the national, federal, state, and local guidelines. Working at Sumter County 911 and then going to Jasper County 911, I will have two different sets of protocols I need to know. So I have to act in an appropriate standard of care. So what about consent? Do I need to know about? Consent's important. I must have permission to do things. If I place my hands on a patient and they have not consented, what have I done? You. I have violated them. Oh my. How ungentlemanly of me. But I've also performed battery. Assault would be I'm threatening you with bodily harm or physical restraint and sedation, which is a specialty of mine. But battery is actually when I do what? Hey buddy, what's up? Come here. Putting my hands on somebody without permission, it's not allowed. Even as a paramedic or a nurse or anybody like that, you have to have permission to touch these people. Now, it can be done in a very smooth, flowy way. Which way is that? Hey man, this is Josh from Atlanta Fire Rescue or Brady or Central, or whoever. This is Josh from the EMS Med 1. You called 911 day? Yes, I did. Oh, what's going on? Do you like my partner takes your vitals? He's going to put that cuff on you and, you know, just check you out. Oh, I don't mind. He's handsome. Yeah. Fellas, a little tip. Watch out for old ladies in nursing homes. They will fill you up. They'll grab your booty. Happens a lot. Young ladies, you can probably imagine the same. So I need her permission so I can smoothly throw it in there as well. You know, again, I cannot teach you how to modulate your voice and control a scene. You must learn that through experience. Hey, Blondie, can you hear that drink right there? So I was assertive, but I was also direct, but I was not unprofessional. That will take time, especially if you pissed off. I have treated people that have spit on me and that I was in a very bad mood after, but while I'm with my patient, I will be professional and courteous. That's a hard trick. I can't teach you that. You must not have seen that video of that EMT from AMR and that 17-year-old spit in her mouth. She lost it and he caught a couple 2 pieces and biscuits. Can't say I was too mad at her. From all accounts, from my friends that work with her, told me she was one of the sweetest people in the world. Great EMT, but she got spit in her mouth. That would be hard to hold it together. But 17 years old, he's a minor. His hands are handcuffed behind his back. 2, she had permission to punch him in the face. No, it's battery. Let's keep talking. Person must give consent if the person is conscious and irrational. He has a legal right to refuse care. Now, I do not like the EMS neuro exam. I think it has too many holes in it. However, it's all we got. If you can answer these 4 little questions, technically in your right mind. I have went to a guy, his mama called, said, "There's something wrong with him. He's going, doctor, he needs some psych help." I get there, and this guy's got a master's degree in psychology from Armstrong University. He's wearing a tinfoil hat, though. He tells me about some Medusa weapon that can turn you to stone that the government has. Now, obviously, he ain't all right. But obviously, he knew exactly what to say to get me and the cop out of there, right? And my partner. Hey, my name's blah, blah, blah. The date's this. There's $750 and the president's this guy. That's my neuro exam in a nutshell. I'm asking him about thought, memory, some configuration, simple things just to see if he's within his right mind. But is he in his right mind? You with the mic on, tell me about it, whichever one of you is. No takers, huh? Very well. No. Can a drunk person answer those questions and then go drive and hit somebody and kill somebody? Yeah, they can. I could be drunker than, I could be drunk as hell and still answer those questions. I'm actually one of those people that kind of, it might be a bit smarter drunk. I'm a little bit more articulate because I'm a lot more hypersensitive to what's going on. Oh, wow, my fine motor functions are delayed. Interesting. So, not a great way to tell, huh? So the foundation of consent is decision-making capability. Can they understand the information provided? Can make an informed choice regarding medical care? This is a hard one. Can make an informed choice. They're choosing sometimes to die. I have begged. I've pleaded. I've been dirty with patients. I've gotten their kids involved. Hey, if you don't go with me, you're not going to see your kids tomorrow. I'm dirty, but I was right. They wouldn't have. I had a guy at a club in Buckhead who got hit in the head with a bottle. I used his kids against him like that. I'm glad I did. He had a brain bleed. I've also had a little old lady who refused. I'm all right. No, man, you're not. I beg, I plead, I call my supervisor, I call medical director, because that's what I need to do. I got him to talk to a doctor. Hey, she don't want to go, talk to a doctor. Don't talk to some dinky paramedic. Me. Doctor talk to her. No, baby, I ain't going. Go to hell now. Oh, okay. Sign here. She signs my refusal paperwork. But again, a refusal paperwork is not always going to save you. There's still some litigation liability in there that will fall on you. All right, hey, husband, come here. I'm telling you, she might not make it through the night. I've explained it 3 or 4 times. Can you please make her go? She ain't gonna do it. She's stubborn. Hell. Well, then sign right here saying I did everything I could do. I begged, I pleaded. I got a doctor on the phone. I called my supervisor. I used her grandkids against her. When I told her about she'd never see you again, she was actually kind of happy. Oh, that's fine. She's kidding, probably. So I get my witness to sign and I take off down the road. I'm not even 5 minutes. Get another call, back the same address for a cardiac arrest. The patient's now not breathing, heart's not beating. Was that her choice? Was she in her right mind? What do you think? Stephanie, what you got?
I mean, maybe she was ready to die.
I had a patient tell me one time, I can afford to die. I got life insurance. I can't afford another ER bill. That cut me deep.
Right.
Yeah, cut me deep, Trek. Cut me real deep. So patients do have that autonomy to make decisions about his or her health. I don't like it. But my job is to give them options. I am not allowed to kidnap. I am allowed to beg. I am allowed to plead, and I have dirty tactics that I will use. I will use their children against them, their grandchildren, whatever. There was a grandmother. Her granddaughter was there. I said, hey, baby, come here. She's like 20 something, so she wasn't like a baby. I thought, hey, this is what's going on. I need you to go in there and work some magic with Granny, okay? And the reason I'm so, I don't want to say aggressive, but I'm so beggy or so pleady or so, I'll take extra time on scene is because the mindset that I'm trying to give you is that if I treat her like she's my grandmother, and I believe truly in my heart she's going to die, because I know what the pathophysiology of this disease is, I know what's coming next in the next 5, 10 minutes or hour or whatever, I know what could happen. Why would I not beg for my own grandmother if I have the mindset that she is mine while I'm here? So I get dirty. I went in and got hurt. Granny, get yourself up. You going? I ain't going. I say it now. She hustled her out the door. She can kidnap her, but I can't. You ain't going in, you go on me then. All right, I'll get in your car. So her granddaughter took her to the ER. I don't give a damn. Just take her. So get dirty if you got to, but always be professional. Don't forget to be professional, because while the mindset is that it is my grandmother, cannot kidnap people against their will. Get your case for that. So express consent. I'm expressing that I want to have you consent. So how do I do that? Ma'am, do you mind if I take your vitals? Do you mind if we come in? Did you call 911? Yeah. I'm gonna help you off the floor. You mind if we pick you up? Sure thing. Another thing to do is what? Explain what you're doing to your patient. So do you think people that call 911 are a little bit scared and anxious? What do you think, Blondie with pink hair? Yes, absolutely. And if somebody they've never met before, especially a large, hairy individual, walks in their house, starts picking them up, wanting to hiss and creep, hey, I'm gonna help you up, Sugar, okay? You ready? Okay, you can get up underneath your arm. I got underneath your arms, you got your leg. Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. We're gonna pick you up. All right, put you back to bed. I'm explaining everything I'm doing, not because I have to, but because I need to. Reduce her anxiety. That is a form of treatment, anxiety reduction, by explaining what I'm doing, by keeping her involved in her own care, by not just surprising her and just yanking her off the floor. So for this to be valid, a patient needs to be informed. You must explain risks of treatment, benefits to the patient. You must explain what happens if they don't get certain treatments. You must explain. Now, I ain't saying to go into a deep, dark history about the crap, but I am saying that you need to tell them what's going on, for obvious reasons. Implied consent. Let's talk about it. This applies to patients that are unconscious, unresponsive, or had previously told me to go to hell and they were going to hang themselves. And when they hung themselves and they became unconscious, I then had the implied consent to take them against their will. Because a person that is unconscious cannot, 1, tell you no. 2, it is implied that a person of reasonable sound mind would want you to save their lives and take them to the hospital. Am I right? Yes, Josh, you're right. Nice hair, by the way. Yeah, you're right. So does that mean we will go to patients that have tried to harm themselves and then take them? Yes. Does that mean we'll go to get Granny who's unconscious? Yes. Does that mean we'll go to a diabetic patient whose blood sugar slipped so low that they're now in a type of insulin shock and they're unresponsive? Yes. We will treat these patients without asking them. These are special conditions, though. You must make sure that you are able to answer these questions in documentation. We arrived on scene. Patient was unresponsive, so we did this. Be able to justify your actions. Should never be used unless there's a threat to life or limb. Should never just use implied consent because it's convenient. Unless that patient's going to die or lose a limb, you don't just take people against their will or without their consent to the hospital. I am a patient advocate, but I also am the breadwinner for my household. I do not want to go to jail. I do not want to catch a case. I want to continue to win bread for the house. That means I must protect my paramedic license. It's called CYB. John, tell me what CYB means, please, and thank you.
cover yo ass.
How dare you cuss on my recorded line, you hooker? So covering your butt is an important doctrine that we're going to ascribe to. So you must cover your butt. You will have to protect your EMT and paramedic license. Am I my brother's keeper? I think you know my answer to that is yes. It is my job to help you keep your EMT license by not putting you in situations that are outside of your scope of practice and helping you document things and protect yourself. Are you my keeper? Yeah. If you see me doing something stupid, please give a shout. Allow me to learn as well. Well, wait, you're the paramedic. You're supposed to know all this. And you're also an instructor and all that stuff. Well, yes, but I do stupid things sometimes. And sometimes I may get tunnel vision. And that old saying, EMT, paramedics save lives, EMTs save paramedic lives. That's a thing. Because I might get tunnel vision. I might be about to do something way right field. I might need you to bring me back to the center. I admit that I got angry with a patient one time. I was about to react very badly. My partner just grabbed me and was like, hey man, hey, cool. I'm like, all right, I'm good. I love you, you love me. All right, I'm good. But I'm a human. I'm guilty of emotional reactions sometimes. Spit in the face. I was initially very mad. Very mad. Very mad. I did not like it. I did not like green eggs and ham and spit in the face. So I initially had a very emotional response. It was only a passing wave, and a good partner saw the emotion on my face and the oncoming snap that might have came, and he helped protect my license. I do not like admitting when I mess up. I do not like admitting that on a recorded, whatever this is. I do not like that. But if I tell you about it, you may not make the same mistake, and you may have those safeguards in place. When you first meet a new partner, okay, let them know, hey, if you see me doing something stupid, please step in. I'll do the same to you. If I got a book hanging, tell me about it. Simple as that. Involuntary consent. Oh, yeah. City of Atlanta has a lot of mentally ill patients. We're going to watch a video. It's actually a body cam video of a psych patient. We're going to watch it here soon too when we hit behavioral emergencies. But basically what happens is there's this young man who's having a psychiatric episode, and because of the EMS crew's negligence, he dies. Just because they're having a mental break does not mean they're not people. I had a partner one time like, see all these damn homeless people calling. I said, hold up. Let's break the word down. Homeless people. Let's take away homeless people. These are people. Some of them still have families and loved ones, and that was somebody's son, somebody's daughter. And while they're with me, they're family to me. I used to have such a good time with the homeless in Atlanta. I mean, majority of the encounters were very positive, and they were very funny and made me laugh, and were enjoyable people. Doesn't mean they're not people just because they are homeless. But what about patients having a psychiatric issue? I read here recently that about 1 in 4 Americans have some type of mental disorder. It's been worse since the pandemic. I'm about sick of it, my dang self. Quick little thing here. What color is this?
Red.
Blue. What color is this?
Red.
It's blue. What color is this?
Blue.
She can only see the red though. If a psych patient only sees the red, but the rest of us see blue, I cannot convince them that it's not there. The chemical makeup or hallucinations or whatever's going on, that's what their mind sees. So I need to know that if there's a time and a place for me to take them against their will, it is because they are mentally ill and they are this danger to themselves or others, or they're extremely, not COVID, agitated. Like let's say it's a patient that has gotten into an altercation with PD and it's a psych patient and he's a little hurt. If he fought 5 of them, What's he gonna do to little old me? Nothing. He going night-night. I got sedation juice, the cow. So mentally ill, in behavioral crisis, or developmentally delayed. I have had an autistic young man who was as big as a house. He was like 12 years old. I mean, he was incredibly strong. We showed up to help the other EMS crew who didn't know how to deal with the autistic child, pissed him off. My God. We had to call for permission to give orders to sedate him. Because the Fulton County guidelines are, if they're under 18, you've got to call for orders. He was 12, but he was as big as I am. I am 6'3"-ish, 270 pounds. He had me by about 30 pounds. He's a big old boy. So you may need to obtain consent from guardian or conservator. Not always possible, so understand your local guidelines and protocols. What does that mean? Know what to do in these situations. If you don't know, pull out your phone and make a phone call. What if you can't get them on the line? You are not a cop. You are not a cop. You're not a cop. You're not a cop. You're not to arrest. You're not to chase. You're not to choke. You're not to punch. You are to respond with only reasonable force, which is what? Not hurting the patient, but to subdue them, keep them from hurting you, your partner, or others. Psych patient got away, guess what? They got away, and I'm not chasing them. I have no arresting power. But to take somebody against their will while I'm there, I am medically responsible for them. I want to get them help. I don't want to just do it for the thrill of the wrestling match that's going to occur. My back hurts. I don't want to do it. But if it's going to save their life, stretch first. Hang on, sir. I'm coming. Best I can do. So they're a danger to themselves. In behavioral crisis, developmentally delayed, or mentally ill, it may be necessary to involuntary consent. Minors. A minor thing here. Parent or legal guardian gives consent. If they are under 18. You need parent or legal guardian to give consent. In some states, a minor can give consent. I don't know what state, because I live in Georgia. I don't know what Georgia does. You need permission from mommy or daddy. Emancipated minors, that's different. Married, armed service, their parents. But just because they had a kid does not mean they're emancipated. They need a court order, document, piece of paper to show you they are emancipated. Teachers and school officials may act in place of parents. They may act in place of parents if we can't get the parents on the line. The time that this would be a bit different is in true blue, God's honest truth emergencies. What does that mean? You better be able to justify why you took my kid and his sprained toe to this ER for this bill that I can't afford. You better be able to justify it. Because I could have taken him to the urgent care, my insurance would have paid for that, but not this ER bill. You have to remember that sometimes in your calculations as an EMT. Is it the right thing to take them or no? Should I fly this patient with the broken leg from South Georgia to the med in Macon and cost them $25,000? Or should I just drive the hour and a half myself, keep them comfortable for that hour and a half, and they only get charged $1,000? Are they stable or not? Broken leg, they can hang on for an hour and a half, and me save them $24,000. If you take somebody's kid, you better be able to justify it against their permission. That doesn't mean if mom's there, you can just take them without and take their kid. That is not happening. I'm talking about the situation where I go to a burn patient. A 12-year-old was cooking dinner for his 3 or 4 other little siblings. Mama's at work. Mama's working at a factory off of Fulton Industrial. We can't get her on the phone. He's burned. He's in a true emergency. He's shivering. He's in a lot of pain. He needs to get to the burn center at G Unit, Grady, right now. What do? I took him without parental consent. I can justify that. Also, I had a deputy go to his mom's work get a hold of her. She didn't have a car. She drove Marta back and forth. So she rode back with the deputy, who was nice enough to bring her to the hospital for us to start getting consent forms signed. She was not mad. We did the right thing. But you could also see where the opposite could be true, right? Forcible restraint. Ooh. Forcing somebody against their will. I will tell you this company that I'm standing at tonight, right here, right now, does the most psych transfers in the state. Don't work here, you better have hands. I'm kidding, but seriously. Forcible restraint does occur and sometimes necessary with combative patients. Let me tell you this, psych patient or not, if you attack me, you get sedated. If you attack me, I am sedating you. I would rather bag you, breathe for you than fight you. I am a paramedic, not a policeman. I am not in the Marine Corps. I am a paramedic. I'm a healer, not a fighter. You fight me, you're gonna do it sleeping. I tell you that now. I wish I had like a blow dart gun. Get you from 20 foot off. That'd be wonderful. Sometimes you have to do with combative patients. Sometimes they're truly psych patients. Sometimes they're just buttholes that attack you. I had a patient on 75 running butt naked down 75 the highway. Obvious psych patient. They thought they were a werewolf. He was really cool until the moon came out. Then he's like, I feel the change. He then does what? Tries to turn around and bite me and add me to his pack. This was not advisable because I assume every psych patient might turn this way. So I had that thing on. That 99 juvenile was ready. He caught it quick. So, may require legal consultation, may require law enforcement. I can tell you what the city of Atlanta's 911 service does. You are advised to let supervision know and have law enforcement on scene. That's in a perfect world. Does that always happen? No. Patients, I mean, it can turn like that. It can happen in a moment's notice. My advice to you is if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. A gift I'm going to give you that I never had as a paramedic or an EMT school or even a firefighter school. I have a friend that's going to come teach you basic takedown and defense in this class. Towards the end, I'm going to have a friend of mine come and teach you basic self-defense, not to hurt anybody. But after therapeutic communication has failed, and the patient is dead set on the course of harming you, where he's going to teach you how to evade, dissuade, but then to possibly engage if necessary and take the patient down without harming them. I never had that. I had to rely on sheer brute strength. And I don't want that for you. I want better for you. So you will have that coming up here in the next few weeks. On supply, do not remove the restraints unless they pose a risk to the patients. Let me tell you here in chapter 1, 2, 3, and whatever. We never restrain a patient prone. We never restrain a patient prone. We never restrain a patient prone. Not to get political, but even a God blessed mall cop knows that. If you restrain somebody prone on their chest and stomach, you prevent their thoracic cage from expanding. Their lungs cannot expand. They will have what's called traumatic asphyxia. Traumatic asphyxia. Once those restraints are on, they don't come off for any reason unless it poses a risk to the patient. If you physically restrain a patient, you need to chemically restrain a patient. Only one that can do that is the paramedic. Why, Josh? Well, if you physically restrain a patient, you will have 3 things occur if they are in excited delirium. They will develop hyperthermia, where their body temperature rises. They will develop rhabdomyolysis, where their body's releasing all these skeletal muscle myoglobins that are going to clog their kidneys up and cause acute renal failure. And they're also going to have increased acidosis from struggling against all those restraints. Their heart rate will shoot through the sky. Their blood pressure will shoot to the sky, and then they'll suddenly become tranquil and go into cardiac arrest. You need to sedate them. It can be life-saving. It can save their life. If I physically restrain any patient, they get in the night-night juice too. Not because I'm mean, but because I care about them and I don't want them to hurt themselves. I don't want them to hurt me. And of all the patients I restrained through the years and sedated through the years, there was only one person I ever had to really, really like just bag. Most of the patients just went to sleep. I monitored their heart rate, their cardiac telemetry, their blood pressure, and they were in their respirations and their stats. And I just kept my eyes on the patients. Here's a tip. The quality of your care will affect the quality of the patient's life. If you ain't watching and they stop breathing, that's on you, player. That's on you. Patients don't suddenly deteriorate. Healthcare workers suddenly notice. If you hadn't been playing on Snapchat, sending butthole pics to your girl, you might have not have had these problems. So pay attention to your patients. Be all at work, not texting and sending nice pics to your boo. I might be a bit upset with you if my loved one quits breathing, you didn't catch it, and they get hypoxic brain syndrome, and some cells up there die, and they're now brain damaged because you were sending pics to some, your girl, your boy, or some crap like that. I'm teaching you how to be an EMT tonight. The right to refuse. Conscious adult patients with decision-making capacity. Tell me, what makes them able to can make a decision capacity? Blondie, what do you got?
As long as they're in their right mind.
In the right mind, so they are capable of understanding what I'm saying. If you don't come with me, you will die. Come with me if you want to live. So they have to be in their right mind. What is that EMS neural exam again? It's the 4 questions. Let's talk about it. Hey, what's your name? What city you're in? How many quarters in the dollar? Who's the president? Or whatever combination of questions you ask, they're all going to be pretty simple questions. That's the best we got right now. I mean, if somebody's got a bet, this is going on YouTube. So if somebody's got a better way of doing it, please hit me up. I would love to learn it and share it with the providers of Georgia, but that's kind of what we're stuck in right there. Can they withdraw treatment at any time? Let's say I pick up Blondie here. Hey, we're riding in the road. She gets mad at me. Stop letting me out. All right. I can't kidnap her. She's within her right mind. What if she just suddenly just don't want to go anymore? I got to stop and let her out, or it's kidnapping. What if they just want transport and not treatment? That happens a lot too. You pick up a homeless guy, I got chest pain. Okay, buddy, I'm gonna treat you for chest pain. I'm gonna give you an IV, some nitroglycerin, some mask. I don't want no medicine or IV. Oh, you don't? Okay. Well, that's fine. Can you sign here saying that I offered it to you and you didn't want it? Sure. What did he really want? He wanted a ride. And you know what? I ain't mad at him. You know why? Because I'd rather do that than run that arrest down the hall. He's gonna call back again and somebody's gotta take him. Some people get all their feelings about that. I ain't mad. Another time I'll be like, hey man, you having chest pain? Because I'll treat you if you are, but if you're just wanting a ride, you can see some cute nurses and a sandwich. Still give you the ride. I just need to know. I'm actually not having chest pain. Okay. Not a problem. I think honesty is fantastic. Matter of fact, if they tell me the truth, I'll bring 2 sandwiches. I appreciate the honesty. Here I am out in the freezing cold in Atlanta, and it's like below 30 degrees. I might call the 911 too. But let me tell you a secret about the boy that cried wolf. Before I made it to the North Georgia region in Atlanta 911, I worked in South Georgia. Didn't have as many homeless population down there, but there was one that called 4 or 5 times a week for chest pain. Now, I treated him for chest pain every time. I gave him an IV. I gave him aspirin. I gave him nitro. His blood pressure was high enough, it wouldn't hurt him anyway. But I have to act with an index of suspicion that there is a wolf at the door knocking every time. I do not have lab values. I cannot see if he has elevated troponin. The only way to know if somebody's truly having a heart attack is if they have cardiac enzymes saying they are. That is blood tests, blood levels are showing it. not all heart attacks or myocardial infarctions show changes on the electrocardiogram. That is news to some paramedics for some reason, but it's true. Only way to really know is to have their labs drawn. So because of that, you say chest pain, I treat you for chest pain. Even though I was 99% certain it's full of doo-doo. But you're not gonna catch me slipping. One day though, he calls, my spidey sense tingles when I see him. I said, hey man, what's going on? Chest is hurt. The way he said it, my spidey sense was tingling. I felt it. I put him on the EKG. Boom, there it is, ST elevation. He was having a true blue heart attack. He had spoken it into existence, and all them Turkish channels says, with that mayo he ate at the ER and made it happen. I took him to the hospital with a cath lab. He was on the table within 10, 15 minutes. He lived another 10 years with those stents in his heart. But what had happened if I had not taken him seriously or treated him like there was a wolf at the door every time? I'm not his judge or jury. I am an objective provider. This week, one of your discussion questions was about objectivity versus subjectivity. John.
Yes, sir.
Tell me the difference in subjectivity versus objectivity.
Objectivity is a statement of fact or statistics. Subjectivity is your opinion on the matter or what you are viewing from your point of view.
Does my opinion matter worth a dang?
Not a damn.
No, not at all. I am an objective provider. I deal with facts, figures, things I can see. This man calls me for chest pain, I treat chest pain. You call me for a stub toe, I'm still gonna do a full head to toe assessment, but I'm still gonna treat that toe. I don't think you should call 911 for a stub toe. Brother, that might be the most pain that man's ever been in his life. If he thinks it's an emergency, who am I to say it's not? Now, we could get into a whole discussion about 911 abuse and all that stuff, and hey, I understand completely. But for me to be a true blue patient advocate, I have to side with the patient. Have I been wrong before? Yeah, I have been, and so have all the other providers out there who have their draws and their crack right now. What does that mean? I still treated some people for this thing, even though I knew in my heart. I knew that it wasn't really happening, but guess what? When we got there, it really was happening. But good thing I always treated it like it was there, or that wolf would have got me. If he's at the door knocking, make sure the gun's loaded. Make sure that that gun's loaded so you can deal with it and treat these patients correctly. You don't know. You don't have X-ray vision. You could be 100% sure that you're right within the diagnostic equipment of the hospital to prove that you were wrong. It's not a risk I can take to put my ego aside and say, hey, maybe, let me just err on the side of caution for this patient's sake. So I have to assess the patient's ability to make an informed decision, ask and repeat question, assess the patient's behavior and the patient's answers. If the patient appears delusional, confused, you can assume that a decision to refuse is an informed refusal. Now, some things about behavioral emergencies are subjective. Let's take it away to look at somebody's dressed. Are things different based on culture? Is it normal over here but abnormal over here? It might be normal where he's from. It may not. There are countries across the world that think Americans are strange for some of the things we do. We therefore in turn think they're strange for some of the things they do. Like driving on the other side of the road, throwing England, get with it. So some of these things will be influenced by culture. Some of these things will be influenced by a little bit of subjectivity. I'm telling you, please crawl out of your own foot and be an objective provider. Ooh, you cut your hair. Cut your handsome young man. I will say that providing treatment, I'll agree with that. Providing treatment is much more defensible than failing to treat a patient. However, do not endanger yourself. Let me introduce you to Regulations 19. Regulations 19 states that if the scene is unsafe, thou shalt dip without. Amen. Do not stick around and get hurt. You are not law enforcement. You can use the assistance of law enforcement. However, I have had a patient on scene. I'll be a psych patient. Of course, they're butt naked. We're trying to get him, and the law enforcement, so they're like playing on his phone. If he ain't gonna help, that's the problem. That's a problem. Make sure they're involved. They are the police officers, not me. Do not endanger yourself. Do not put yourself in harm's way. Before you leave a scene, make sure that you encourage the individual to, again, allow for care, ask them to sign a refusal form. A witness is valuable, and document all refusals. I document and then document the crap out of it. I document that I've begged, I've pleaded, I've asked 3 or 4 times. I talked to the loved ones on the scene. I get one of them to sign. Hey, your wife says she don't want to go. I'm telling you, she ain't gonna live through the night. I just need you to sign saying I did say all that. All right. Most of them are more than happy to sign. What if they refuse to sign? Document that too. Call supervision. Call your medical director. Hey, this patient you can sign. I want to make sure you're knowing this. And this is an AMA refusal. And I'm getting more names on this thing because I'm not going down, Blair. I'm covering my butt. CYB. Confidentiality. Sassy. What does it mean to be confidential? Secret? Agent, man. Secret. Private information, private, like what? Your name, your birthday, your social, your driver's license number that I got now that I'm gonna treat you. Talked about this earlier about, Beardy Locks, old John Stafford up there, one of my students having herpes. I don't need to be spreading around that John's got herpes. He's spreading it around enough. So I need to keep that under wraps. It's not my business to share his herpelitis. What if I get on Facebook? Hey, John Stafford's got herpes again. Nah, I just broke HIPAA, broke the law. I'm probably gonna be fired. Bad juju, right? We only share this information with people who are directly involved in patient care. So let's say I show up and Blondie, you're the nurse. Hey, come here. So this guy, he's having this issue going on and blah, blah, blah. He did some cocaine use to me. I just want to let you guys know, since I need to let them know. I'm not breaking his trust. They're about to take care of him. They didn't know he just did a whole snoot full of cocaine. Why? No wonder his heart rate's 190. No wonder he's kind of agitated and scratching himself and he's sweating everywhere. He's having a sympathetic syndrome. He's having some issues. That is okay, but posting on Facebook or going back and talking to your wife and them about it, that ain't cool. So we got Health Insurance Portability and Accountability Act of 1996. So contains a section on patient privacy, strengthens privacy laws, safeguards patient confidentiality. Make sure you are aware of what HIPAA is and what it does. Considers information to be protected health information. If you're ever in a situation where you are unsure if you're about to break HIPAA, call your company's confidentiality or public relations officer or your supervisor, but you don't have to stand on that alone. Let's say an officer comes to you, hey, what's going on with this patient? What's his name? Sir, I can't tell you. Well, I need to know. Subpoena me. We get into a very kind of gray area there. Is the police officer directly involved in patient care? I'm supposed to tell them what's going on with this patient? There was actually a weird video that popped up a few years ago where the cops, the nurse stood up to him like, hey, I can't tell you that. You know, that's his healthcare information. They arrested her. Guess what happened to the cops? They were fired later. I'm not saying not work with your local law enforcement to help them achieve their goals and objectives. We are one team. We are public safety together. However, before I'm anything else, I am a paramedical. I am a patient advocate. What if he's a known drug dealer? What if he's some other kind of heinous thing? Objective means objective from bankhead to buckhead. Do I withhold pain meds from a known drug abuser? He's broke his leg. It's hanging off by a thread. Do I withhold pain meds? No. I do not. What if he's a known child abuser? I'm allowed to think about it, but I don't. I still treat him the same. Medicine is objective. You're not. Now, I'm not saying that if you're a believer, you can't inside, you know, I've done it. I've prayed for people. Sometimes that's all I could do, but I'm not pushing that on people. And that's my own personal things that I'm doing. I'm not going to be pushing my beliefs on other people, and, you know, I'm not going to be subjective to them. I'm going to be objective. Objective. Sassy, what does objective mean? Tell me about it again.
Objective?
Yep.
Means, just to approach everything with the same mentality.
Okay. I can dig it. So objective would be numbers, facts, figures. Subjective is my personal feelings and bias. So some things are more subjective, like relationships. That is my preferences. I need to have my preferences in my relationship, right? But what if I was to say chocolate Rocky Road is the best ice cream flavor out there? Is that a subjective or objective claim? It's very subjective because there's no way to provide objective data for that. There's no way to measure it because your favorite might be this, your favorite might be this. So if you're ever sitting here having to think twice about something, that might be part of the problem. Make sure you're operating as an objective provider to protect your patients. Now, do we transport patients of different religions, different sexes, different colors, different creeds? We do. And guess what? Bankhead to buckhead. Everybody's the same. That is professional ethics. What if they make me mad? If I spit in my face. Can you handle that? This is EMT 101. You can't handle it. I did not issue you a draft card. You chose to be here. Matter of fact, you're paying me to be here. You can handle that. And that goes on to Mr. Smarty Pants. If you're gonna go beyond EMT and be a PA, I support you, brother. Remember me when you're rich. Buy me a boat. But even as a PA or a nurse or whatever the hell you want to do, you have to still keep that mindset of objectivity, even no matter what level of medicine you're practicing. Even if you're a mid-level up there, have to be objective. Failure to abide by HIPAA provisions can result in civil and or criminal action. The general public is often permitted by law to record identifying and protected patient information and images. Do you think people will record you? Oh yeah. I actually got some news clippings in my phone that I sometimes share with students. Sometimes I was recorded and I was on the news. I mean, Grady unit responded to this. I'm on there like flexing on what up. One of the ones I normally show is this picture of the patient was just nicked by a gun, like flicked them right there, but it's me putting the bag in the back then. I saw the camera and they're about to take pictures. I was like, suck it in, suck it in. Yeah, it happens. What about working an arrest downtown in Midtown about 7 or 8 o'clock at night? Everybody's out with their dates. What's happening? Oh my God. Ah. Instead of helping, they're just filming it. So what do? Let's scoop and go, boys. Scoop and go. Close the doors. I don't want to be a part of this. Treat them right. Social media. Avoid company logos, agency vehicles, or markings associated with your agency while off duty. You need to conduct yourself professionally on and off duty. Why? You represent an entire profession. On and off duty. On and off duty. I watched a video this weekend of some South Carolina brawl. This guy's drunk as a skunk. He's like, man, I'm a firefighter. I ain't afraid of nothing. Oh, really? Where do you work? That's probably going to cost him right there. Video surveillance, facial recognition software, and now we know your profession. We could probably narrow it down there, Tiger, to where you work. I'm sure they'd love to know what you're out here doing, starting fights, being a real D-bag. I ain't trying to go after nobody's job, but if you out here, if you treat people like that, if you treat your wife like, how are you treating patients? It's a good question. Again, I'm not one of those go get you kind of people. I'm just saying somebody will go get you. It ain't gonna be me, but I'm just saying somebody will get you. Free speech does not mean that everyone has a right to say anything under any circumstances without repercussions. You have a right. I mean, you have the ability to say whatever the hell you want. What is the cost? What is the cost? You have the ability. Is it worth it? Something to think about. While you are in company uniform, while you are representing your company, your profession, be professional. While you were drunk at the beach, remember, maybe keep it under your hat what you do for a living. It makes us all look like drunken stupids. I think that's good. I don't need to expound on that anymore. I think you get my point. Ain't right, Sassy? Let's talk about advanced directives. So, advanced directives. Specific treatment should the patient become unconscious or unable to make decisions. They have a do not resuscitate order, DNR. It's an advanced directive that gives permission, do not resuscitate. This is an old saying, but do not resuscitate does not mean do not treat. Let's take the terminal cancer patient. They know they're going to die. They have a DNR. They don't want you to save their life, but they're in pain. You see it. They're crying. They're suffering. Does that mean I withhold pain medication? No. Does it mean I don't give them oxygen? No. Does it mean I don't put them in a position of comfort and make them have the smoothest ride of their life? I still do all of these things. I just do not initiate compressions, ventilations, and put a tube down their throat in resuscitative efforts. These things can be very specific. Other names will be living will, healthcare directive. Your DNR orders must meet the following: statement of the patient's medical problems, signature of the patient or legal guardian, signature of health physician, and it's not expired. You can tell me you have a DNR, but unless you can produce it, I am doing CPR. I will do BLS until you produce it. You have a time limit. If I'm unsure, I will work it anyway. You are much more you're going to have a lot more protection from actually doing your job than not doing it. I promise. If you're not sure, make a phone call, call your supervisor, call med control. You're never alone. You are never alone. But they have to produce a valid DNR. It cannot be something I wrote on a crayon napkin 2 minutes before you got here. Make sense? Copy of one right there. All right, what a POST or a MOST, physician order of life-sustaining treatment, explicitly describes acceptable interventions for the patient, must be signed by an authorized medical provider. Contact medical control for guidance if you is stuck. Some patients may have named surrogates for them, or these are known as healthcare proxies. So due to the number of patients in hospice, some healthcare programs, you may face the situation of a healthcare proxy. Make sure the paperwork lines up. If you're not sure, what do? Blondie. If you're not sure, what do? Work it anyway, and or one call, that's all. Don't sue me, Ken Nugent, I'm kidding. Physical signs of death. A physician determines the cause of death. Presumptive signs of death will be what? Unresponsive to painful stimuli. lack of carotid pulse, absent breath sounds, no deep tendon reflexes, missing head, sign of obvious death. What else? Dependent lividity. What's that? Yes, sir. When your heart stops beating, the blood stops moving. It'll start to follow the path of least resistance and flow low. Meaning if I'm laying on my back, when you roll me over, there's gonna be a big, big bruise on my back of my neck, my back, my lower back, my butt, my thighs. All the blood is pooled there. There's lividity, they dead. What about rigor mortis? What is that? Very stiff, very tense, very Frankenstein. Absent eye movements, no systolic blood pressure, lower to decreased body temperature. Ah, there's lividity. C. Definitive signs of death. A body part is missing. Decapitation, blood settling. Rigor mortis, alter mortis, putrefaction. Putrefaction is decomposition. You get there and the skin's starting to slough off and there's maggots all over it. Yeah, they did. Ew. I've been to some patients that nobody had spoken to them in a couple of weeks, and we go in there. Yeah, the whole apartment smells wonderful. Ooh, that's a big maggot. He's huge. So rigor mortis actually occurs between 2 and 12 hours. Putrefaction, 40 to 96 hours happens. So medical examiner cases. Try not to ruin the crime scene. Don't be smoking cigarettes and flicking them on the crime scenes or dead body scenes or whatever. Don't put your DNA there. Any of it. So notify your examiner, and it's always different for different counties. They have different strokes for different folks. So just know your local guidelines. But if you get there and you need to notify somebody, hey, there's a dead body here, somebody come get it. Medical examiner, coroners, police officers, somebody needs to know. Accidental death, infant and child death, maybe a suspicious looking death. Organ donors express wish to donate their organs. Your priority is to try and save the patient's life, but remember that organs need oxygen. What does that mean? If you can't save their, you're going to try and save their life, obviously. But if you can at least keep the body alive long enough for them to harvest organs, you might could save 10 lives. Their sacrifice will not be in vain, or their accidental death will not be in vain. One of the cool things that you guys do here at Central is what? Lifelink. Sometimes in EMS, I don't hear back from patients because they were really hurt, and I don't know if they lived or not, and I don't know if I made a difference. With Lifelink, you don't have to wonder. I just took a doctor to a hospital. He performed surgery. We took the organs back to this place, and we saved 10 people. That I don't have to wonder about. I was part of that team. Small part, but I was a part. Pretty cool. Organ and donor tissue card. There's an example of one. Medical identification bracelet. My advice is to always do a full physical assessment. A full physical assessment. You can find things like a insulin pump on patients. Why can't I wake them up? It's an insulin pump. You can also find things like open sores, the patient's septic, or fentanyl patches are all over them. Fentanyl is a narcotic. It will knock their respiratory drive out. No wonder you ain't breathing. So physical assessments are always very important. I gotta be honest, I ain't seen many medical insignia bracelets. There might be people that wear them, but I just never ran calls with people wearing them. That's what it looked like. All right, scope of practice. Outlines which care you're able to provide, defined by state law. Medical director further defines by developing your protocols and your standing orders. Carrying out procedures outside of scope of practice may be considered negligence and criminal offense. If you, the EMT, try and perform open heart surgery, that's way outside your scope of practice. Could result in negligence, criminal offense, possible murder charge. Do not perform heart surgery as an EMT. Noted. Good, very good. Standards of care, manner in which you act or behave. You must be concerned about the safety and welfare of others. So those care standards are stated by local custom, law, professional or institutional standard, and textbooks. Another standard would be the golden rule. Treat people how you'd want to be treated. If I treat this grandma like my grandma, I'd probably treat her pretty well, right? What about Medical Practices Act and certification, licensure, credentialing? These are imposed by states. I get certification from National Registry. I get licensure from the state of Georgia. When you pass National Registry, that's great, cool, good for you. You ain't practicing as an EMT until you get state licensed. If you've got a lot of criminal background history, they will probably not give you a state license to be an EMT. Sorry. So before you waste any more of mine or your time, might be time to dip. You have a duty to act. Individual's responsibility to provide patient care. It act applies once your ambulance responds to a call, once treatment has begun. If I show up and you are a patient with a complaint, I have a duty to act until I transfer care to a same or higher level of care, or I have obtained refusal, or you have no longer needed me. I have a duty to act. Negligence is to fail to provide the same care a person with similar training would provide in the same situation. Negligence is not providing care that you were trained to provide, that a normal person that would not be a D-bag actually provide. That's pretty straightforward, I think. All four of the following elements must be present for negligence to apply. There must be duty, breach of duty, damages to the patient, and causation. They have to prove all four of those to get you. So a couple of other negligent things. Res ipsa loquitur, I probably said that wrong. The cause of the injury was in the control of the EMT, generally does not occur unless there is negligence. Negligence per se, the conduct of the person being sued is alleged to that occurred in clear violation of a statute. Torts is civil wrongs. Unilateral termination of care by EMT without patient's consent, making provisions for continuing care. Unilateral means what? One-sided. The patient still wanted your help, but you told him to kick rocks. Therefore, that was unilateral termination of care without their consent, without making continuation of care. That could be abandonment. At the scene, in the emergency department, always obtain a signature for your patient care report. It's not happening. It doesn't happen unless it's documented. It didn't happen if it wasn't documented. Make sure you document who you gave the patient to, their name, their signature, their rank, their level. I cannot give care over to an EMT B because I am a paramedic. It must be another paramedic or a nurse, an RN. It cannot be to an LPN. An RN is my rank. A paramedic is my rank. A doctor is above me. One of these people needs to get the report from me. I need a signature from one of them. Pretty straightforward. Cool. Assault, battery, and kidnapping. I've already kind of covered that. We're going to keep moving. All right. Defamation. Ooh, I defame you. Communication of false information that damages reputation of a person. If I go and start slandering old John about his herpes he's got, and it causes him some damage in his, male stripper business, it could make me at risk for some slander or libel. Libel is written, slander is spoken. Libel is written, slander is spoken. Know the difference? I have seen that on registry tests. But if you reasonably help another person, you will not be held liable for errors or omissions. Good Samaritan conditions to be met. Good faith, without expectation of compensation, within scope of training, does not act in grossly negligent manner. So let's say you're at over here at let's say Sonic, and I'm getting me like a cherry limeade. Delicious. And Sassy over there starts to fall out. Oh no, bro. Let me finish my limeade. All right, I'm on the way. So I get over there and I start to help him. Good faith means I'm only just trying to help. I'm not trying to make things worse. And that's easily to see. Without expectation of compensation, I'm not clocked in. I'm on my own time. I'm deciding to help him out. Within scope of training, I'm a paramedic, but if I try and do heart surgery, I'm outside my scope of training and did not act grossly negligent manner. I treated him in good faith. without being paid, because I'm not clocked in, I'm out just getting me a cherry limeade. I treated him within the scope of training that I have as a paramedic, and I did not do anything really stupid that I wouldn't have done at work anyway. I'm protected by the Good Samaritan law. I can't be expected to perform as well as I could on an ambulance. What is Picasso without his dang paintbrush? What is a carpenter without his hammer? They have the knowledge of how to do these things. They could probably do a lot more than they could without them, but without my ambulance, without my tools and equipment, I cannot be expected to perform as adequately as I could if I had. That makes sense? Ooh. Gross negligence, conduct that constitutes willful or reckless disregard. Gross negligence is I obviously don't give a crap and I don't mind if it hurts somebody. Simple enough. Immunity statutes apply to EMS systems that are considered governmental agencies. This applies to like city departments. Let's say Roswell Fire here. They would probably have what's called sovereign immunity, provides limitations on liability. Immunity is not complete, but they can get away with a lot of stupid things because they have sovereign immunity. I know a lot of other fire departments that just live off of that. They live off their sovereign immunity. Their care providers are turds, and they get away with literal murder because of their sovereign immunity. Hard to nail that to the wall because it is Jell-O. Is it easy to nail Jell-O to a wall? Nope. Records and reports. Compile a record of all incidents involving sick and injured patients. Important safeguards against legal complications. Courts consider an action not recorded was not performed. If it's not documented, it did not happen. If you say you gave that drug, but it's not written down, it didn't happen. The court will not honor that. I acted as a good EMT. I gave this drug. It's not documented. Therefore, you didn't give it. Incomplete or untidy reports is evidence of poor medical care. Let me go on the soapbox just a moment. So let's read that again. Incomplete or untidy reports is evidence of poor medical care. Your job as an EMT slash paramedic slash first responder, what the heck ever, is to not only look good, act good, be professional, looking, acting, all that, but your reporting, your PCRs, your documentation needs to be sound as a pound. They're not going to ask you about a call you ran last week. It'll be a call you ran 2 years ago. I need you to write reports like they're going to go to court. Report like it's going to court. Type it out in a manner that if I am put on the hot seat in the judge truck, I can read what I wrote and be like right back in that situation. Oh, I did this because of this. You can see right here where I wrote this. I've been blessed to never have to go to court. I have friends who've not been that lucky. I had to write one deposition one time, and it really was written in a way to keep me out of the water because I had nothing to do with it. I just kind of witnessed what's going on. You know what I'm saying? So write every report in a detailed manner that like it's going to court. You have no idea. You never know. You never know. You really don't. It is part of being a good EMT for you to write good reports. Why? Keep you out of hot water. Protect your patient, protect your company, protect your coworkers. If they sue your company, right, and they win, your company goes under. We have 500-600 employees at this one right here. Guess how many people lost their job? All of them. Yes, it could be that important. But here's the truth. Write the truth, it will set you free. Write the truth, and it will set you free. Just detail it as much as possible. Don't elaborate. Don't tell no fishing story. That fish was this dang big. No, it wasn't. Just tell the truth. That's all you got to do. He ran a red light. Patient stated that I was a D-bag and he blah, blah, blah. Just tell the truth. There is we'll talk about this when we get documentation, subjective objective treatment or subjective objective paragraph there. What that means is you tell what the patient told you. If he said a bunch of this, put that. Objective is what I saw. And we'll talk about it when we get the report writing. But incomplete or untidy reports is poor medical care. Poor. National EMS information systems. Not only is it poor medical care in regards to protecting your coworkers' jobs, your job, but also I told you about evidence-based medicine. Every report you write is taken. The data is extrapolated, analyzed, and what happens next? A bunch of nerds look at it and they find trends. They look for patterns. They try and find evidence-based medical ways to make what we do better. If you write poorly, it will impact that. If you write well and are truthful about what really happened, they will do better reporting and better data collection. It is a ripple effect. A drop of water hits a pond. What happens? Sassy. I know you're yawning, that's why I call
You said drop one on.
it. A drop of liquor hits my tongue as soon as I leave you. I'm kidding. So a drop of water hits a pond. The ripple effect, it spreads out and causes other things to happen. So NIMSIS and GIMSIS. NIMSIS is the National Information Systems System. GIMSIS is the Georgia Information System. Every report you write goes to GIMSIS. The state office gets a copy of it. They look at the data. When they're done looking at it, they send it to the nationals one. They get to look at it. Very far reaching, isn't it? That is not only a legal document that you just wrote, it's also part of that patient's medical history. Goes in their file. You dig how much more important this is than you thought? Mandatory reporting. I'm gonna come here and we're gonna finish strong with this. Without going through the slides, I can tell you they're gonna talk about child abuse, elderly abuse. Let me go ahead and just sum it all up for you. If you see something, say something. You have a legal obligation that if you suspect child abuse, neglect, or care, or something of that matter, you see something, you say something. It ain't me being mean, but I get there and it looks like the kid was dipped in boiling water, and they were. Yeah, I'm gonna say something. Not to them, because I don't want to stir the honey pot of the family members or mom and dad who abused the kid. But me and the cop, me and the hospital staff, we're gonna have a hey, I think this is child abuse. I'd like to report it. And it's reported. That's all. The government and social services and all that, they will get involved and take care of that. Your job is if you see it, you say something. What if I'm wrong? Well, then they'll investigate and nothing, no big deal. They're very thorough. There's no big deal. What you got?
Are those anonymous reports? Can you do that?
They're not gonna be coming back to you for any kind of flag, if that's what you mean.
I just meant like to, you know, if it was maybe
I never asked that. I don't think so. But if I had to go, I'll go. If it's a
If you're
child,
not sure, like if you're on the fence about it, would you just go ahead and say it anyway?
if I'm on the fence and I'm not sure, then I'm gonna go ahead and report it. If you have to think about it at all, report it.
they'll figure it out.
They'll figure it out. That's what they're paid to do. My job, if I see something, I'm saying something. I'd rather do it than be wrong. I hope I'm wrong. I hope it was just simple accident, whatever. Now, that does come down to some good judgment because kids do fall and hurt themselves now. Like, my 1-year-old has like 3 left feet. She's always tripping on her own feet and running into something. She ain't abused, but she's just clumsy. There is a difference. She's never been seriously hurt though. She's, so there's a difference in that. However, if you got any kind of index of suspicion, snitch. I'd rather you do it and be wrong, and I hope you're wrong. Same thing applies to neglect. I get there and the kid's this skinny, skinny, not this skinny, but skinny, like they haven't been fed, they're not eating. I can see their cheekbones, and it's just, they look malnourished and sick as a dog. Yeah, I need to say something. I mean, I know you're her mom and you love her, but you can't take care of her. I'm not gonna say that to the parent, but I'm gonna be like, in my reporting, hey, there's some neglect going on. Maybe y'all need to get her some type of government assistance. And they'll work with the parent. They'll try and give them more, some peach care and some food stamps or whatever, but they're not gonna try and take the kid if they can help it. But that baby needs to eat. And if they're not eating, then we got a problem. So what about other child abuse, and I promise you this is gonna hurt your heart, because it hurt mine. You know how many abandoned kids I ran in Atlanta? Whole bunch. Yeah. I'll give you an example of one, because I don't want a war story on to death, but I will throw one to make it kind of hit home. Me and my partner Rusty respond to an apartment complex for a little girl that nobody and the PD unit calls us. Hey, I don't know what's going on, but she's 2 years old. Well, she says she's 2, but she's real little, real skinny. She had on a T-shirt that hangs to her feet. She got on like size 15 shoes, like they'd fit me. And it's like 3 in the morning. And we start knocking on doors and getting everybody involved. Like, hey, you know, this girl, she says she lives here. Where do you live, baby? Hey, she said she lives here. I don't know her. And then, you know, Big Mama comes out. I don't know that child, baby. I'm like, what do you mean? She don't live here? No, I watch all the kids around here while a lot of the parents go to work. I know every child in this apartment complex. We're a pretty tight group. I've never seen her. Come to find out, the little girl was abandoned there by her parents. One of the PD officers, me and the little girl was sitting on the back of the ambulance, just sitting there chatting. And she brought over this plate of fries, and this girl ate a plate of fries like this. I have gargantuan children. Like my 2-year-old wearing 4 T clothes. She's huge. My 1-year-old wearing 3 T. They're massive babies. And I have not seen a child eat that much. Like even my child, who never stops eating, whole plate of fries, like man size, ravenously. Bottle of water like that in a minute or two. Just drinking like they had been starved and not had anything. It hurt my heart. But this is what happens. You will run these type of calls and you must bear that burden and carry it. Of course, it was reported. Hopefully they found that child a good home. But after I'd done my due diligence, my duty was over. I can sit there and dwell on it and be sad, but I have more patients that are calling 911 need. So I'll leave you with that this tonight. If you see something, say something. Same thing goes for your elderly. Just because they are older, their lives have reached their sunset, does not mean they do not deserve care and love, respect. They do not deserve to be abused or neglected. Some of the harder things is this 80-year-old woman, 85-year-old woman, she's been so independent, she's been so good, but she lives alone and she's done failed 3 times. Now she's done gashed her head open. She can't live alone anymore. Or the old man that's in there cooking hot dogs, he picks up the pan and his hands are shaking and it just boils, it gets on his hands and it burns him. I'm telling you, real patients I've ran. It hurt my heart to have to report. He can't live alone anymore. Somebody needs to come check on him and verify this, of course, but he needs to be put in a home. It's time. I hate it. It's not fun. It's either that or I come out here for something worse next time, or maybe I'm too late. So last thing again, if you see something, say something. Any questions before I close the lectures for tonight? It's 9:30 now. I have another one to do, but I have to work also in the morning really early. So I will do chapter 4 tomorrow night. I will live stream at 5 and we'll get it done. But I have just ran out of time tonight. Sometimes I get a little bit long-winded and I apologize. But you will have chapter 4 tomorrow night. Just some things to remember. You've got lots of reading this week. Chapters 1 through 6, I do believe. Now, obviously, a lot of you drivers have had 1 through 4 before, so it will not be that big a deal to just revamp this information. Secondly, I have given you a study guide that covers everything that your test will have. Search out these answers in your book and your lectures, and you will have the keys to the kingdom. Thirdly, make sure you're making time to do your work. A lot of you are doing it like last minute or even doing it late. There are 168 hours in a week. I'm asking you for 8 of them. The amount of workload I've given you is not even 8 hours worth of work. It's probably like 2 or 3, to be honest. Am I right? It's not that much. Now, we are going to dial it to 11 In the next coming weeks, it will get harder and harder. So if you've had trouble these first couple weeks, please reach out. I would love to have you, but I cannot have somebody that can't handle being an EMT, be an EMT. So if you're constantly making poor grades, we need to reevaluate, put you on a performance plan, or find some other way to help you. Any questions? Those at home, any questions?
No, sir. All good tonight.
Thank you, sir. Y'all have a good one. I will be broadcasting again tomorrow night about 5.